Oh, I'm live. And yes, guys, I finally got a haircut. The mop head is gone. What? You think it's cute? Hello, Jacksonites. And yes, you read the title right. Rampage review will be coming, but hopefully after this curse that I have with reviewing it lifts. So that'll be coming at a later date. But since I got this movie as well, I decided I should probably finish something that I started before. You could call this the end of Halloween month, even though it's nearly 3 months after I put a halt to it. Better late than never, I suppose. Today, I'll be reviewing 2018's Halloween, aka Halloween 2018. I do wish that they made a different title for it other than just Halloween, since now there's 3 movies in the Halloween series just called Halloween. But whatever. So Halloween 2018, I guess we'll call it. I don't really have that much nostalgia for this film, even though it was one of the biggest movies that I was looking forward to seeing of 2018, and of course I went to go see it in theaters, making this the first Halloween movie that I've ever seen in theaters, and one of two or three horror movies that I've ever seen. Yeah, this is the third horror movie that I've ever seen in theaters. The first being the 2010 remake of Wolfman. The second was the remake of It. And now, of course, 3 being the original Halloween, or not the original Halloween, Halloween 2018. So I went into this movie with somewhat not really low expectations, but I kind of went into this movie blind. I did not know what to expect. Of course, I hoped that it would be good, but then again, I didn't like the original, so that movie set the bar at ground level, so anything that this movie did would be automatically better than that. So I went in to see Halloween, and I came out a very, very, very pleasantly surprised man. I think Halloween 2018 is a fucking masterpiece. You may call this one of my more biased reviews. I don't care. I don't give a flying fuck. This movie is awesome. It's one of the best sequels in the entire series. It's one of the best horror movie sequels ever made, bar none. I would definitely say Halloween 2018 is one of the top 10 best horror movie sequels ever made. And I'd also go as far to say it's also one of the greatest horror movies ever made. And now, hands down, is one of my all-time favorite horror films. This movie is freaking spectacular. So with that being said, let's get to the review, shall we? Once I do something real quick. Really?
Why did that end than the other one?
Not as funny, though. All right, so with that being said, let's get into the plot of Halloween 2018. In October of 2018, 40 years after the Haddonfield murders in 1978, and yes, it is confirmed that Halloween 2018 does ignore all the sequels, including Halloween 2. So it takes place directly after the events of the original Halloween, and that is it. 40 years after this, true crime podcasters Aaron Corey and Dana Haynes arrive at Smith's Grove Sanitarium to visit Michael Myers before his transfer to a maximum security prison. Which really, it took them 40 years to figure that out. Whatever. They interview Michael's psychiatrist, Dr. Ranbir Sartain, which I'm pretty sure this guy's German, who is a former student of Dr. Samuel Loomis. Dr. Sartain took after being Michael's psychiatrist once Dr. Loomis passed away. Dr. Sartain informs that the two podcasters, Michael is capable of speaking. However, for some reason, he chooses not to do so. Aaron approaches Michael and tries to talk to him. However, he fails to get him to speak, even after showing him his mask and mentioning his sister, Laurie Strode. After leaving Smith's Grove, Dana and Aaron head to Haddonfield, Illinois, to interview Laurie Strode. Since their first encounter with Michael, Laurie has been living in isolation after developing agoraphobia. For those of you who don't know, agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by symptoms of anxiety in situations where the person perceives their environment to be unsafe with no easy way to escape. The most common form of this is people who are afraid to leave their house. And this can range from levels of, they can leave their house and like go grocery shopping and go to the movie theater and do something like in a 10 to 15 mile radius, or they can go all throughout their city, but once they leave their city, they're afraid. But the most common cases from what I've heard is they're just afraid to leave their house. And Laurie Strode has also been divorced twice and has developed a strained relationship with her family and has turned to alcohol for support. Laurie resides in a heavily guarded house where she has prepared for Michael's possible return through extensive combat training. I love this about her. The following night, Michael's transport inexplicably crashes and he escapes and manages to kill the bus driver, a security guard, as well as a father and his son for their vehicle. In the ensuing day, on Halloween, Michael spots Aaron and Dana visiting his sister's grave, and he follows them to a gas station where he kills both, also killing a gas clerk and a mechanic for his overalls. Michael then retrieves his mask from Aaron's car trunk, and then proceeds to Haddonfield. Now, keep in mind, Michael at this point is 61 years of age. He was 21 years old in the original film, and this takes place 40 years later. He's pretty spry for a 61-year-old man, isn't he? Let's see. Laurie warns her estranged daughter Karen and her son-in-law Ray of Michael's escape. However, they dismissed her concern. Halloween night, Laurie's granddaughter Allison encounters her boyfriend Cameron cheating on her at a school-sponsored Halloween dance and leaves the party with his best friend named Oscar, this douchebag. Meanwhile, Michael wanders a populated street in Haddonfield packed with families and children trick-or-treating. He breaks into an elderly woman's home and kills her to obtain a kitchen knife, which he immediately utilizes to murder another woman residing next door for some reason. But both of those taking place in exactly one camera shot, which is awesome. Allison's best friend Vicky is babysitting Julian Morrissey. Oh, God, this kid. When her boyfriend Dave arrives, Michael, who had hid in Julian's bedroom closet, kills both Vicky and Dave as Julian flees. Laurie and Deputy Frank Hawkins, the deputy who arrested Michael back in 1978, hear the incident over the radio and head towards the house. Frank stumbles upon the bodies of Vicky and Dave, while Michael comes across Laurie for the first time in 40 years. Laurie shoots Michael in the shoulder with a .357, mind you, so it's got to be half gone, which forces Michael to retreat. She persuades Karen and Ray to seek protection at her home, and soon after, Michael crosses paths with Allison and Oscar, whom proceeds to impale Oscar and impale him through the chin on a gatepost soon after. Hawkins and Sartain, who is now working with the authorities, rescue Allison just in time. Hawkins impacts Michael with his vehicle. However, Sartain, who is obsessed with Michael's enigmatic motivations, murders Hawkins to preserve his patient. And on their way to Laurie's home, Sartain discloses to Allison that he arranged for Michael's escape to reinforce his perceived role as an apex predator, who needs to finish what he started and kill Laurie to reassert himself. Michael regains consciousness and kills Sartain, which is one of the best kills in the movie, while Allison flees on foot. He murders 2 police officers patrolling the area and steals their car. And after pulling over Laura's home, Michael kills Ray, which is the last kill, to hide in the basement while she engages in a showdown, a suspense with Michael. Laurie strips him of 2 fingers with a shotgun, like literally. He has the gun muzzle by his hand, but she pulls the trigger and literally blows 2 of his fingers off. Let's see. But he stabs her in the abdomen in the process and throws her over a balcony. Allison turns up, which grabs Michael's attention, and Karen guides her daughter to safety while purposely luring Michael to their whereabouts, and then ends up shooting him in the jaw with a rifle, which I'm surprised doesn't blow the mask off, but whatever. Laurie reappears and traps Michael inside the basement with her family's assistance. After barricading the exit, Laurie sets it ablaze. The trio escapes and hitches a ride in the back of a passing pickup, and as various shots of the burning house are displayed, the basement is shown with Michael nowhere in sight. At the end of the credits, sounds of Michael's breathing are heard, leaving his fate in further doubt, leading into the sequel that is in development in the early stages as of we speak, which I knew was going to happen. So how about this plot? In short, love it. I absolutely love it. It feels like a true sequel. Its continuity is perfect. Great care, great detail, and just great amount of everything was put into making this movie feel like a true sequel, like a true continuation of the original film. And in my opinion, improves upon every aspect of the original movie in every single minute detail. The characters, the story, the kills, the scares, the gore, everything in this movie is improved 150,000%, if not more so. So with that being said, let's get into the pros and cons of Halloween 2018. Pro number 1 is Jamie Lee fucking Curtis. And Gray, to answer your question, yes, I did see it in theaters. Jamie Lee Curtis, I've seen a fair amount of her films. I've seen Halloween, Halloween 2. There was one movie that she was in with Dan Aykroyd. I can't remember what it was called. That was a decent film. And nowadays, of course, I know her best from True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would definitely have to say Halloween 2018 has got to be one of her top 5 best performances. She is at the top of her motherfucking A game in this movie. She is acting her ass off. She's not just playing Laurie Strode. She is Laurie Strode at this point. She is completely embodied by the role of Laurie Strode. And she presents the character of Laurie Strode, in my opinion, in a very, very realistic form. As Dr. Sartain says in the film, and I'm just paraphrasing here, Tragedy can shape victims in very different ways. Some people, they grow weaker, like they're constant, like say somebody is mugged. They're assaulted a little bit. Their purse is stolen or their wallet is stolen. They develop a fear of going out at night. Like that's a form of them becoming weaker. Or they're afraid to go down dark alleys at night, or they're just afraid to go out in less populated locations. That is a realistic thing that happens. It happens all the time. Some people grow stronger. Like some people, like if say somebody is assaulted in the middle of the night and robbed. After that, they can decide, well, I want to carry a gun, or I want to carry a knife, or I want to carry a baton, or I want to learn kickboxing because I don't want something like that to happen to me again. That is what happens to Jamie Lee Curtis, along with many other things, including her agoraphobia, which I would imagine also does happen to a lot of people as well. Jamie Lee Curtis embodies the type of victim that grows stronger post-tragedy. She learns how to fight. She learns how to wield a knife. She learns to have a secure home. She learns how to use a gun. Oh my God, does she learn how to use a gun? She uses a .357. She uses a .30-30 Winchester rifle. She uses a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun, for Christ's sake. I mean, damn, you don't fuck with this woman. I mean, she's the type of girl that I like. She talks the big talk. She swears a lot, and she carries big fucking guns. Love it. So Jamie Lee Curtis is at the very top of her A game in this film. If you want to watch this movie for only one reason, watching it just for Jamie Lee Curtis's performance, I wouldn't blame you. If that's the sole purpose that you want to see this, would not blame you at all. She is awesome in this film. Pro number 2 is that the rest of the cast is relatively decent. It's to be expected because kind of like with Halloween H2O, this is Laurie's movie. Even more so here. But still, like with 2018, this is a Laurie Strode film. But the rest of the cast is relatively decent. Judy Greer plays Karen Strode, Laurie's daughter. And she does a pretty decent job. She's a little whiny at times, and it's both frustrating but also understandable why her relationship with her mom is so strained, because Laurie forced her own paranoia and her own insecurities somewhat onto her daughter, and so it's understandable that Karen has some resentment for her mom. But in the end, it is nice to see Laurie and Karen just kind of put aside their differences and just say, "I love you, Mom. I'll help you if you help me," type of stuff. So Judy Greer does a relatively good job. Andy Matichak, I believe, as Allison, does a pretty decent job. I like that. Despite her mother's words and warnings of saying, just grandma's kind of a nutcase. She's just kind of she's different. It's nice to see that Allison, just kind of says, well, give her a chance, okay? She's trying. Though also it is understandable somewhat that her life obsession with Michael Myers would probably get old after a while. But Allison just kind of tries to put up with it and still try to welcome him or welcome her back into her life despite her mother's protests. So, and also she is at times a bit of a damsel in distress, but toward the end of the film, she does become a bit of a stronger character. Like, she's the one who finally manages to trap Michael into the basement at the end of the movie, because he has Judy Greer by the leg, is trying to yank her back down in the basement, but Allison picks up a knife and damn near cuts off Michael's hand in order to get him to let go, and smacks him back down into the basement. So she does a decent job as Allison. James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers does a very good job. He's very menacing. He's very, very, very creepy, very violent, and is definitely a total badass. And Nick Castle does return for one quick shot as Michael Myers, who did it as a window shot. Nick Castle was the main suit actor for Michael Myers in the original 78 film. I say main because actually a lot of people did play Michael Myers in the original. He was played by Nick Castle, who played Michael through the majority of the film, but he's also played by production designer Tommy Lee Wallace. He was played by a dog trainer when he killed the dog. He was played by Deborah Hill, played by John Carpenter at one point. There's a lot of people who portrayed Michael Myers in the original, but James Jude Courtney does a very good job as Michael Myers in this film. He's very menacing. He's very imposing. He's very badass. He's very brutal. He's very violent. He does a great job. He might be my favorite Michael Myers suit actor. Nah, that's still probably Tyler Mane, but outside of that, it's definitely James Jude Courtney. Will Patton as Frank Hawkins. I'm so glad that this movie finally, that this franchise finally gets a sheriff that is not just the typical stick up your ass, I don't believe anything that's going on, I'll believe it when I see it. I think it's just all overblown bullshit what you're all telling me. We have a sheriff who gets his head out of his ass and realizes Michael's back, shit's going down, shit's getting fucked up. Let's just not play games here. We need to find this guy and we need to fucking kill him. So really, this is loaded.
So am I.
Oi. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, Hawkins. It's a shame that Hawkins dies. That's not really a flaw, but I think it's just a little nitpick that I have in the film. Is I wish he didn't die. But we finally have a sheriff who gets his head out of his ass and realizes we cannot fuck around with this guy. So let's find him, hunt him down, and kill him. No questions asked. So I really like this character. I respect this character because he pulls his head out of his ass. Let's see. In Haluk Bilginer. Oh, he's Turkish. Okay. As Dr. Ranbir Sartain. What did you think of his character? Just overall, what did you think of him? Sartain, Michael's doctor. Did you think he was a decent character, or did you think he was just kind of meh?
Yeah.
Well, she thinks he's meh. I also do kind of think he's just kind of a meh character. I mean, you can't have Michael Myers without having a psychiatrist. And he's no Samuel Loomis, that's for damn sure. And I'm just gonna talk about one major nitpick that I have with this film, is that I think his motivations for releasing Michael and him going full psycho like Michael and killing Frank Hawkins, I just think that idea comes right out of butt the fuck nowhere. It just kind of feels out of place, and it feels like a last minute idea. So I have kind of mixed feelings towards that, and I have very mixed feelings for Dr. Sartain. He's not in the movie that much. I'd say he has maybe 15 minutes of screen time in the whole film. He's just kind of okay. It could have been a lot worse, but it could have been a little better too. And the rest of the cast is relatively decent. So yeah, so the characters are good. They're not amazing or anything, but they're good. Outside Jamie Lee Curtis, she is amazing. Pro number 3 is that the film is well paced. I would say it's very cinematically paced. It's not slow all the time. I mean, it's not like The Exorcist levels of slow. It's slower when it needs to be. It's quick when it needs to be. It's just, this movie is extraordinarily well paced. I was never bored. I was never getting antsy in my seat. I was never wondering when the fuck is something going to happen already. The movie has its hook in me right at the very beginning, and it never lets go until the end credits start rolling. Gray says hi. Gray. He says hi.
Hello.
She says hello. Anyway, so yeah, I think this movie is very, very, very well paced. Could not have asked for a better pacing speed for a horror film. It's perfect. Pro number 4 is this movie's humor. This movie, kind of like with what was that movie? Oh, the Predator. I feel like this movie's humor is not forced. It's not shoved in your face. It's not forced, and it doesn't feel out of place. This movie's humor is very subtle. Well, not very subtle, but it's subtle, and it's there only when it needs to be, and it's not there that much. I am specifically talking about 2 scenes. Beginning of the movie is when we're introduced to Laurie Strode's daughter and her husband and Allison. One of the first things that Ray, that's his name, Karen's husband says, Ray says, "God damn it, I got peanut butter on my penis."
You better not.
What the fuck would you say that
Oh,
in front of your teenage daughter? It's like, what the But the funniest scene in the movie, hands down, is when Vicky is babysitting Julian. She's on the phone with David saying, bring the good stuff. We're definitely going to be getting fucked up tonight or something like that. And Julian says, "I know you're going to be bringing over here to smoke some weed." Which, did he speak with a little bit of a lisp? He says, "You're supposed to do that. I'm telling my mom." "Well, you do. I'll tell her about your browser history." "You better not." And this fucking kid, oh my God, is he fucking funny. Like, he's quick to say fuck, he's quick to say shit, and damn is he quick on the draw with stupid one-liners and funny insults. This kid is fucking hilarious, and if he becomes a stand-up comedian and becomes famous for it, I'll definitely watch that guy's shit. So yeah, like Gray says, the humor here, it's not abused. It's not done too much. It's not done too little. It's not forced. It's just right. It's just the right amount of humor to ease the tension just a little bit. So that's good. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pro number 5 is, like I said, the continuity of this movie is very, very, very good. I already kind of talked about that a little bit, but this movie's continuity, I feel, is very solid. Very, very, very solid. It feels like a direct continuation of the original film. A lot of people may find it to be controversial that this movie ignores all the sequels, including Halloween 2. I mean, at first I wasn't really okay with it, but then, realizing a lot of the sequels are pretty bad, including the original, I really don't have that much of an issue with it. I actually do like it now because I feel like we have the original, but we're just wiping the rest of the continuity completely clean and starting over fresh. So that does not bother me whatsoever nowadays. A lot of people also really don't like the fact that now apparently the film is saying that Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are no longer sisters, or brother and sister, excuse me. And while I don't think the film actually outright says that, it does feel somewhat highly implied. So I can just kind of take it or leave it. Maybe they will just say in the sequel, yeah, these two are related. Kind of like what they did with Halloween 2, even though at that point it'd be Halloween 3 in this series, but whatever. See, again, why the hell did you call this Halloween? Just call it, I don't know, Halloween Returns or something stupid like that. But whatever. But the continuity of this movie feels very solid, and it feels very, very, very well constructed. It feels like a lot of time and effort was put into making this movie feel as much in tune with the original film as possible. Like with Predator, though, to be honest, I think it did a better job here. Mostly because, well, at least with the Predator, there was 4 movies before it. No, 3 movies before it, whereas this one, there's just 1. So, whatever. Pro number 6 is the cinematography for this film is very, very, very solid. For a movie that had only a $10 to $15 million budget, this movie has beautiful cinematography. There's a lot of wide open shots of Haddonfield looking really gloomy because it's October. Of course it would. There's a lot. My favorite shot in the entire movie is when Michael really starts going on his rampage. It's the long shot that follows Michael going into a shed and grabbing a hammer. It cuts there, but then this is one long shot. Goes into the house, hammers the old lady to death, takes the kitchen knife, goes into the neighbor house. It stops on the front window. Michael bends down to look in. Then it stays there. Michael turns around, goes through the back door. His victim comes to the front window. Michael comes up behind her, grabs her by the back of her head, smashes her head into the window, stabs her right through the neck. That's all done in one take. And I respect the hell out of the cameraman for doing that, because long takes like that, I imagine, are a giant pain in the ass to do. Like the big one opening take shot of Goodfellas, I'm sure must have taken weeks of planning to get done right. And I'm sure they must have had to do it 400,000 or 500,000 times to get one good take on it. So I respect the hell out of the cameraman to do that. So this movie has very beautiful cinematography. Pro number 7. This is going to be kind of a quick one because this one's not really that big in this movie, but the special effects. This kind of goes into pro number 8 is the film's kills. But pro number 7 is this movie has good special effects. The kills are also pretty good too. But the effects are very well done. Not a lot of CGI was used. There was some, like example, when the chick was stabbed through the neck in that one long shot, when the knife went through her throat, that was clearly, well, not clearly, but I could tell it was CG. But it didn't look bad. It was clearly CG, but it looked realistic. It didn't look cartoony. It didn't look fake. Well, kind of, but it didn't look like an obvious CGI effect. Even when I saw it in the theater, I couldn't tell that was CGI. But when I saw it on DVD on a smaller screen, I definitely could tell it was CG. But it still looked good. But I'm pretty sure not a lot of CG was, barely any, if at all, CG was used for this film. And I do respect them for that. It was mostly practical effects. All the blood is there. The kills are nice and gory, too. They're not explicitly gory, like the Rob Zombie Halloween kills, for example. But they're gory enough to make them shocking. And they're certainly gorier than the kills in the original Halloween, but they're not over the top like they are in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Although there is probably the best kill in the movie is Sartain. Michael stomps on his skull and literally makes it go splat like a pumpkin getting run over by a car tire. See what I did there? So that's probably the best kill in the film. But a lot of the kills are just neck snaps, which some people may say as being kind of boring. I don't really mind it as long as you have good sound effects, neck snaps can be good. And this movie does use good sound effects for the most part. I think Ray's kill might be the worst. He gets his neck snapped, and we don't hear that much out of it. Aside from that, the kills, the special effects used are very nice. All the blood is practical, except for the knife through the throat. And the kills are nice and gory. They're violent. They're brutal, but not over the top brutal like the Rob Zombie films. So the special effects and the kills are really, really, really solid. And the last thing I want to talk about is this movie's scares. Admittedly, most of the scares that got me were jump scares. But I think what made them effective is also this movie's suspense. I can think of, off the top of my head now, all I can think of is one occasion where the movie didn't make me jump. And it was when Michael had a confrontation with Laurie. It was when she got stabbed in the abdomen and thrown off a balcony. She's in a room that is full of mannequins, and she has a gun and a flashlight, and she scans the room multiple times, then doesn't see him. But then Michael pops out of a spot that she clearly looked at, but she didn't see him, and we didn't see him either. But he pops out of nowhere and grabs her and tries to strangle her and such. That scene got me. But what made it so effective was we watched Laurie go throughout her house with her gun and checking each room to make sure he's not in there. And it goes on for a decent amount of time. And right when we think that she's going to move on to the next room, boom, out comes Michael. I love jump scares like that. That is what you call an earned jump scare. So this movie scares are very, very, very well done. And you're not going to be like scared to go to bed or anything unless you show this to a 6-year-old. You're not going to feel like you're being watched. But if you want a few really good jump scares, this movie will definitely be right up your alley. And that's all I have for the pros. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pros. Do I have any cons for this film? Do I have any cons for Halloween 2018? No, I ain't got nothing. Like I said, the major nitpick is Sartain's twist with him wanting to go full psycho and want to know what it feels like to kill. Kind of comes out of nowhere, but it really doesn't detract anything from the film from myself. So I have no major problems with this movie whatsoever. In my opinion, like I said, it's a perfect film. It's a perfect sequel. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's one of my favorite horror movie sequels of all time. And is definitely one of my favorite movies of 2018. Which is why I will be giving Halloween 2018 a perfect solid gold 10 out of 10. Fantastic movie all throughout. It might be my favorite of the franchise now. So post your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Share this video with your friends. And as always, if you're going to go out and fight the person that tried to kill you 40 years later, make sure you have a big machete and make sure you have big fucking guns so you can fight back and kick their asses. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. I don't have my shades on, but oh well.